Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Director of Football Challenge with Livorno. Now in today's episode we have of course got a summer transfer window to review, but I do have a little bit of a problem. In terms of our Director of Football, we did actually make a change during the summer. We got rid of our old one and got someone in who had much better stats. Pedro Fernandez, a lot of judge and play potential, some good man management there, and of course he's got some knowledge of the South American football, which I was very interested in. I thought he might come good for us this summer. He didn't. So these are the transfers that we've made over the course of the summer. We have, 6 loan signings, 1 permanent transfer, and a load of frees. So we've spent £600,000 during this summer transfer window. Now if we take a look at how much money we have available, we currently sit on £13.5 million in the transfer budget, with £134,000 available in the wages. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking that maybe our balance wasn't so good, so the Director of Football was actually looking after our finances by not making any permanent transfers that were worth anything. But no, our overall balance is 22 million. Once the season starts, that will continue to rise. We signed a lot of new sponsorships during the summer, so we're getting a lot more money coming in that way. Our wage budget's still one of the smallest in the league by some margin. There's absolutely no reason why our Director of Football should not have spent this money during the transfer window, and he didn't. And the frustrating thing is, because my scout and my Director of Football are in charge of scouting, I still get their best players come through in the scout report, so they say, listen, we should really target this guy during the transfer window. And we had a load of 4.5, 4-star players coming up for £600,000, £900,000. I'm not even talking in the millions, I'm talking below £1 million, who would have went straight into our first team. Absolutely not a problem whatsoever. But our Director of Football didn't make a move for any of them. Now, it wouldn't be fair to say he didn't go for any permanent transfers whatsoever. He went in for 2. He went in for Jonathan Hogg from Huddersfield. He bid up to 2.9 million. The bid was accepted, but Jonathan Hogg rejected the transfer. This would have actually been a fantastic signing for us. Although he is 31 years old, his stats are absolutely fantastic for our sort of level. The other one which I was quite pleased to see us go in for was George Palidio. He was listed at IBAR and we did bid £900,000, I think. No, it was only up to £475,000. But again, another contract rejected. And that leaves me in a little bit of a pickle because, as you'll see through these signings, they're not great at all. They're probably worse than last season. We haven't replaced Lorenzo Dickman. We have signed plenty of central midfielders and stuff like that, but we'll just quickly run through them. The first of which is Gabriel Monsini, who we've signed on loan from Spal. He looks like an okay striker. He's probably on a similar sort of level to Shia Picasa, maybe. I can't see him getting too much first-team football or with him being on loan at us. He's a 3-star current, 4-star potential player. And as you can see, that just means he's a decent player for most Serie B sides. Jacopo Petrosone from Lecce were loaned for £2.7 per month or per week or whatever. He's a defensive midfielder who can also play in centre mid, but again, he's not that great. He's a decent player for most Serie B sides. Whether he'll get first team football or not, I doubt it. Andrea Lamartina from Lecce, again, £7,250 per month. He's a little bit better than the other guy in terms of a striking position. As a pressing forward, he does have some decent stats, so you probably will see this guy get some first-team football. But I will be persistent with Shia Picasa and Rajcevic purely because we actually own them. Another one who came in was Massimiliano Busaletto from Foggia for £7,500 per month. 3.5-star, decent central midfielder. You can definitely imagine him being in our first 11. Next up was Antonio Vaca from Parma, £10,000 per month. Probably one of the best signings of the summer, I think, in terms of just pure attributes. He will definitely be a first-team starter. I doubt I'll be playing him as a sort of playmaker, though. It's not something I'm interested in unless we play him in the defensive midfield position. But I can't see him ousting Agazi purely because Agazi is our player. And then finally, for the loans, Luca Garitano came in from Chievo for £25,000 a month. So we're paying $250,000 over the course of a season for this guy. And he probably is better than Miorino. Obviously, we've lost Diamanti in the summer due to him retiring. We didn't sign that Polish guy who was signed in January from Lech Poznan. So he will probably be a first-team player. And every single one of these players that arrived on a free, in fact, including the one that we played a transfer for, is now in our under-23s. We'll just quickly run through them. We've got Leonardo here, a striker, 1.5 star, 3-star potential. Absolutely terrible. Spagliuto, another 19-year-old striker, 4.5 star potential this time, but looking at his stats as things stand, not something I'm interested in, so he will be sitting in the under-20s. Pierinel from Chisola came in on a free. Absolutely terrible. Why we're signing him, I do not know. Michael Buffer, a 5-star player, another striker. He might come good. Probably not, though, if you look at his current ability and his stats. I don't think he's a 2-star player whatsoever. Napolitano from Monterossi, another free signing. Absolutely shocking. Gabriel Caruso from, I'm not even sure where we're signing him from, and it's not irrelevant. He's absolutely terrible. Luca was signed on a free transfer. Cypriot, another striker, was signed about 10. He's not very good. Now, I like this guy just for his name, Barbarossa, but he's absolutely terrible. 3-star potential, 19 years old. Why we're signing these guys? They're just a waste of money. DeFranco, again, another Italian striker, another 19-year-old without any sort of ability. Same again, another Italian young striker who can also play on the right-hand side. Not very good whatsoever. And Felice Bellini, the only transfer we actually paid money for, is a 16-year-old who's not going to sit now under 20s. He's going to move to the under 18s for now. And he's got 4-star potential. He might become a Serie B defender. So as you can see, it leaves us in a little bit of a pickle, really. Our team is definitely not better than it was last season. We didn't sign a right back, so we're going to have to go with a player that was already at the club who didn't start at all last season at right back for us. I don't know, is this normal? Has anybody out there done a Director of Football challenge for any sort of length of time? This is the first time for me. I've never got this far into a Director of Football save. And seeing as our transfer budget is at £14 million nigh on enough. I think it started at 17 million, but I adjusted it to keep our wages fresh, just in case the Director of Football... My theory was that he wasn't making bids because he was worried that the wage budget would get too expanded, or he wasn't offering, particularly after Jonathan Hogg rejected us. I was thinking, is he being too tight with the wages because there's not enough there? So I directed some into that. So we actually started the season with a £17 million transfer budget, and he hasn't touched it. Why? Why is he not touching this? The Director of Football, particularly with our squad is slim and terrible for Serie A. He could go out and there's a million players, not a million, but thousands of players who would improve our squad, who were readily available, they had them scouted, they were cheap enough to come to us, they were willing to join us, the wage demands weren't crazy, and yet we never went in for them. And it's absolutely baffling, and I'm going to continue playing this year, of course I am. I'm going to go through another season, maybe another summer transfer window, but I need your advice. Do you see this as a long-term thing? If this happens again next summer, how am I meant to progress with this side in Serie A? I mean, we've just had an absolutely crazy season, and the board do expect us to fight bravely against relegation once again. So it's not as if their expectations have risen along with our staying in the league. So I guess that's a benefit to us because we will be fighting bravely against relegation. I can't see us having the sort of whirlwind season that we had last season. Let's just look at Rajcevic, for example. He scored, 16 goals or something? 18 goals in Serie A last season. Can you see him doing that again? I can't. And I know I'm sounding like a bit of a whinger here, but it's just really frustrating when we had that much money for a club like us. Any signing you make is going to improve our first 11, and the Director of Football just didn't do it. But after that little rant, we have played a couple of games. We played in the Italian Cup third round and got knocked out by Perugia, Serie B side, I do believe, yeah. We went with a full-strength squad and we got beat 3-2 at home. Were we 2-0 up? No, we weren't 2-0. We were 2-1 up. But they got a goal in the 94th minute, which secured their place in the Italian Cup fourth round. So we're out the Italian Cup, which is absolutely crazy. I did play through the first game of the season because it was against Fiorentina, and this was on transfer deadline day, so I was just hoping by hopes that our Director of Football might have went crazy at the 11th hour at the end of the transfer window, but he didn't. So our first game of this season that we're going to live com is going to be against Inter Milan. So we're here. This is going to be our first live com of the season. It will be against Inter Milan in the second game of Serie A. And as you can see, they've just got an absolutely fantastic team. João Cancelo back at them, playing at right back. Bastoni, I'm not too familiar with this guy. He looks like a really decent young Italian playing at centre back for Inter Milan. Federico Chiesa, of course, on that right hand side with Raja, Perisic and Icardi leading the line. This is the lineup we're going to go with. You might remember Gasparo playing at left back a lot this season. He's back to right back now. Lorenzo Dickman has gone. with Albertazzi coming in at left back, who played back up to Gasparo last season. Romboli's going to start in goal because Declan Rudd has fractured his arm. Romboli is not a good keeper. He's pretty poor. Bogdan and Janelli will, of course, start at centre-back for us. Agazi, Busolato and Vaca will start in the centre with Garitano, Shea Picasa and Rajcevic leading the line. And we'll kick off against Inter Milan at home, shooting from right to left in this first half. If we can avoid getting humiliated, that would be fantastic. Highlight early on, Albertazzi with the throw-in on the left-hand side for us. He gets a back post. Gasparo's there, and he puts it straight at Handanovic. That was a real opportunity for us. Perisic comes away with it for Inter Milan on the same highlight, and Romboli, he keeps us in the game. Our Romboli, come on. Another highlight, Rakitic with a corner for Inter Milan. De Vries back post. Romboli claims he might be a god. Not with that kicking, he won't be. Janelli plays it over the top for Shea Picasa. It falls to Rajcevic. Is that not a penalty? It's not. Another highlight now. Inter Milan in possession high in our half. Arthur on the edge of the box takes the strike and he goes very, very close. Perisic comes away with the ball for Inter Milan for sloppily give it away. And Radja Nainggolan takes a strike from the edge of the box. And he puts Inter Milan 1-0 up. This all came from our throw-in, I believe. We just gave it straight to Perisic. That is absolutely crazy by Gasparo. I can't believe that. And Nainggolan puts it top bins. Romboli's got no chance. And we'll find ourselves probably going into half-time 1-0 down at the very least. And there we are, we're in at half-time, we're 1-0 down against Inter Milan. That's nothing to be ashamed about, you know. The sort of players we are playing with, you've got to expect to get smashed by Inter Milan, and in fact, they're not doing that. And stats-wise, they're definitely on top, but we're not out of this game just yet. Just as I say that, an Inter Milan highlight comes along. Asamoah down the left-hand side, plays it in for Icardi. And Romboli, I was just speaking you up all the first half, mate. What's happening? You could have done better with that. I don't care what your stats say. Perisic to Asamoah here. Icardi with the first time strike, and Romboli. I just can't. I can't. Janelli with the ball over the top for Shea Picasa. Please get it on goal. He has got it on goal. Shea Picasa, he's one of the shining lights from last season. He did improve quite a bit in terms of his attributes. He's still got potential to grow as well. And he's actually one of the few players with the potential to be a Serie A striker. So we'll take that. And he's got a good finish there. Nice ball over the top from Lorenzo Janelli. And we're back in the game. Highlight straight from kickoff. And Inter Milan are in possession. Asamoah tries to play the ball over the top. Albertazzi with some cool defending. And Romboli can mop it up. Albertazzi with the ball over the top again. Shea Picasa's in behind. Can he get the ball back post? Rajcevic is there. And Rajcevic and Shea Picasa combine. And they make it 2-2 against Inter Milan. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Another ball over the top by Albertazzi. Shea Picasa does really well to get on the end of this. And what a great cross. Rajcevic, it was actually a little bit behind him. And he's done well to get his head on that. And our strikers combine and get 2 goals in 2 minutes. We're going to make a change. Albertazzi's picked up a knock. So we're going to get Porcino on. He's a very attacking left back for us. So maybe he might get the cutting edge or he might cost us a goal. Another highlight, Gasparo gives the ball away to Rakitic, but it comes back to him. We've got some space on that left-hand side if we can find it. Gasparo's in the box. It clatters off the Inter Milan player and Asamoah plays it down to João Mario. It's a 3-on-2. Martinez is there. Romboli with another save and he keeps us back in the game despite his poor attempt on the save for the second goal. This highlight's probably going to end. 5 minutes to go. We'll look to make another change. We'll get Mirino on for Garitano. And we'll also get Vaca off for Domenico Mungo. He's one of our signings from last season in the summer, although he was never a first team player. He might find himself getting a bit more game time this time round because of the loan signings that we've made. Mirino now comes away with the ball. 4 minutes remaining of a lot of time. And I'm guessing that was the highlight. 6 minutes to go on added time. Oh, Romboli, man. Romboli. Oh, it's an Andrea Gasparo on goal. Maybe it wasn't Romboli's fault. Let's take a look. Rakitic with the corner in. Icardi wins the header. Romboli with an attempt to save it. And Gasparo just stands there and it hits him. Ah, such a disappointing way to lose this game. You know, we could have ran away with a point here. But Rajcevic is in behind. Come on. Oh, Handanovic with the save. Shea Picasa keeps the ball in play. But it goes out for an Inter Milan throw-in. The ball's bobbling about in the box. But this is probably going to be end of highlight. That would have been nice to have had a chance there. But never mind. 2 minutes to go with on added time, and Inter Milan are currently in possession, and we'll keep giving them a back possession, even though Rakitic did not want that whatsoever. Nainggolan on the edge again, back to João Cancelo. We've won the ball. Mirino, come on. Play a really nice ball for Shea Picasa here. What's he going to do? He tries to find Rajcevic on the left-hand side and he cannot find him. But we are still in possession, so hopefully we can craft something with Gianelli. Back to Romboli. And we give the ball away. João Cancelo plays through Martinez over the top. So much space for João Mario. And even if he's not going to finish it, Icardi's going to be there. Inter Milan 4, Livorno 2. I would say that's a little bit unfortunate for us, you know. I wasn't expecting a victory, obviously. But in terms of the match stats, we haven't been completely outplayed. We could have maybe nicked a point here, but I think a couple of individual errors and a couple of poor things by Romboli has meant that we suffered defeat today. And that's going to be that. Livorno 2, Inter Milan 4. Disappointing to get beat, but it is to be expected. So before we go any further, I sort of need a little bit of advice here. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this save if this continues. You know, I wasn't... Listen, I'm not expecting me director of football to go out and sign all them wonder kids that I would sign for peanuts and then let them grow into the squad. But I was expecting them to actually spend the money that was available, try and improve the squad compared to what we've got. We are weaker than last year. In terms of just squad depth, we're weaker than last year. First 11 were probably weaker than last year. So the fact that £40 million sitting in the bank suggests to me that maybe something about the director of football is not quoted right in the game whatsoever. As I said, I've got scout reports come through from my director of football of players who were not only available, but easily signable, and he did not go for it. This guy, I didn't find this guy. I've got no idea who he is. He's an 18-year-old Ivorian who looks like he could become one of the best players in the game probably, but we never made the move, and that's probably an unusual example. And just in terms of other examples here, you can just flick through this list. You can have a look at, see what the maximum amount will be, the maximum wage and their sort of ability in the squad. You can see there's players here who are 3.5 to 4-star players, some 4.5-star players who were available and who my director of football specifically pointed out to me plenty of times over the course of the summer as potential signings. And we never went in for any of them, and it's just really, it's frustrating. I understand this challenge is going to be difficult. I understand this challenge. It removes the most overpowered aspect of the game, buying and selling players. That is the easiest way to win at Football Managers, being talented in the transfer market, and it's not difficult to actually do. So taking that out obviously increases the challenge a whole lot. But I feel like I'm sort of playing with two hands behind me back instead of one right now, with the signings that we are making. So I'm obviously going to continue the save. I'm not going to just drop it right there. But I sort of need your advice to say, let's say this happens again next summer. Would you want to see this continue? Because I can't see us making any progress. But anyway, please let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. And if you're enjoying my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.